Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Network Merchandise Shop. Check out our large assortment of logo merch and our lifestyle collection as well. Just head over to abvnetwork.com and click on shop. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neely Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. Finally, we are sponsored by the upcoming ABV Barrel Shop, a new liquor store experience coming to St. Louis, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop will serve as home to the ABV Network and will be owned and operated by Steve Akeley, Jim Fasnacht, and Scott Creighton, a.k.a. the Barrel Buddies. To learn more about the investment opportunities in this new venture, listen to the ad at the end of this podcast. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we talk to Jimmy Fasnacht about his bourbon journey. My name is Miss Beka Sue. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Cailee Baker, Katie Joyce, and Jim Fasnacht.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Howdy.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello. So, yes, exciting times. We're going to be talking to Jim about his bourbon journey. I got a shave and a haircut, so I look younger, don't I? I look so young. I'm going to get carded in Key West, I feel. So we're a week before Key West. It's clearly going to happen.
Maybe for your AARP discount.
Oh.
I look like a totally different person. I wait till everyone sees me in Florida. It's going to be amazing. So much fun.
Are you trimmed up, Steve?
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
The hair on the back, on the flowing locks.
Whoa.
I love
Like
it.
a whole new
It's
man.
like a whole new person.
But I mean, also,
That's
I've never met
Steve
you in
Akeley.
person, so I really wouldn't know the difference. I mean, I feel like I don't look at your hair when we're podcasting.
I'm streamlined. I can run faster now, I feel.
Yeah,
I don't have the hair.
aerodynamic for sure.
The air resistance.
Run
yeah.
faster, swim faster.
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
can finally beat the legend in the race.
Yes. Now I can beat the legend.
In
So,
speed
yeah.
mode.
Yeah, so we'll get to all of that and much, much more after the break. For right now, Katie said there's something she wanted to talk about. What is that, Katie?
Yes. So I had someone ask me lately for kind of an oddball vacation suggestion.
Okay.
So they asked basically if I had a place to suggest visiting that had like that small town vibe that you got there, just like a cute town. So nothing major, nothing like you should go to Vegas or New Orleans or New York City or one of like the big things everyone talks about. There's like, do you know of any place to visit on vacation? I just feel like going to like a cute town. And I thought that was an excellent question. No one had asked me before. And so I'd like to get your all's thoughts on that
I've got one. I did this last year. It's about an hour past Branson if you're coming from St. Louis, and it's Eureka Springs, Arkansas. It's a town that was kind of built up in the early 20th century, and they have some, and it was kind of a spa town because of so you're talking about some cool old spas from like the early 20th century and stuff like that. And it's just a neat little mountain town. I mean, it's all up on, it's all up in this little mountain, and the streets are kind of narrow, and and it's all little shops and cool restaurants. There's no like Chili's or anything like that. It's all just local places to eat and drink and coffee shops, and it's cool. It's a neat little town. So that's what I'll put into the mix.
Well, I will go with my hometown, about 30 minutes south of Nashville in Franklin, Tennessee. When I was younger and growing up, it was a lot smaller than it is now, but it's still one of the most beautiful main streets of America, in my opinion. There's been lots of music videos and movies shot on the street, and it's just a really cute downtown area. And there's lots of stuff out around the Franklin area that you can go and visit, like,
Like
Nashville, being
for instance.
30 minutes away. You can go and, have your big city moments in
There's a
Nashville.
lot there,
and
yeah.
Come back to Franklin and have your little small town experience for the vacation. So if there's anything I can say is being from a Franklin native, come to Franklin, Tennessee. It's a beautiful spot.
There you go. This show sponsored by Franklin, Tennessee. Jimmy, it's your show. Well, you got something cool? Is a cool town you've been to?
I mean, there's not a ton I do, but like a little place not far from here, Steve, I'm sure you've been to, is Kemswick.
Sure.
And so a little kind of river town there. They do a couple of cool festivals every year. I know Heidi and her girlfriends, they do like a witches festival every year there for Halloween, and it's only women go to the witch. They have to dress up as witches, and they do the kind of whole Halloween thing there. They have a big, apple butter festival, stuff like that. But just a cool area. They've got some good restaurants down there. Like very antique-y kind of feel to it. So kind of a fun little area near here that I like to go to.
There you go. Beka?
So it sounds like everywhere so far that everyone's listed is like very hometowny and like lame. No, I'm just kidding.
Kind of.
But if I was going to suggest a little town that's fun to go to, but this is also a very specific town, and there's times at which you should go. This is not all the time. You should not go here towards the end of July, beginning of August. Deadwood, South Dakota. So Deadwood is kind of like it's like a little mini Vegas, and I mean mini Vegas. Like there's casinos all around Deadwood, right on their main street. They also do a whole shootout every day. I would think they're still doing them. It's outside, but they do shootouts downtown, like Wild Bill Hitchcock and all those guys like shooting each other, and it's just this whole live demonstration that you don't even necessarily know is going to happen. If you didn't know, like they just go out there and start shooting at each other, but they're dressed up in like old Western gear, and it's pretty cool. And they've got some good little restaurants. They also have the regular like Holiday Inn places to stay at, but they also have the Franklin Hotel, which is incredible. It's super old. Every single room is different and just old, but really neat. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try and tell you that the Franklin is nice, but it's not dirty. It's old. And the entire feel of it's really
Franklin, Tennessee was actually named after the Franklin Hotel.
Exactly. It's really cool, and it's
Deadwood's cool. I agree.
The driving, when we talk about like cool places to drive to, there's the Needles Highway, which is right there, which is just really beautiful drive. You also get to see Mount Rushmore. There's also Crazy Horse you can go to.
There's all kinds of stuff. Custer State Park.
Yeah, there's the Cosmos, which is one of those places where up is down and down is up, and when you're like standing up straight, you're actually leaning over, and just kind of a weird place. And you also go to see all the grizzly bears and drive through the grizzly forest and all these type of things. So there's a lot of cool things to go and see there.
I'm digging that we all went for hometown places in our own states.
I am not from South Dakota.
Oh,
I'm not from Arkansas. I'm not from Arkansas.
Well,
okay. The one I told my friend wasn't even from the same area. Like I didn't even choose somewhere in the Midwest. So I had told my answer was Manchester, New Hampshire. And so I went there to see a friend who was performing at the theater. And so they put on shows at their theater there, but it was such a cool town in that I did not go a single time to like a chain restaurant or anything like that. So you could, and it was very walkable.
That's key, right? Yeah.
Town that you could walk and just stop in at shops and restaurants and places. They had like a board game and bar place. So you could go in and get in some of the board games that they have a huge collection there and play them. And they had like specialty drinks and beer and some food. And then they also had a place called Cheddar and Rye that had over 300 whiskey selections. So it was just so many cool places. And that when I went, the weather wasn't great, but still like with a winter coat on, it was still just so nice, just like walk around enjoying the town. That I think there's a lot of towns like that too in the Northeast, but I thought that was a good one.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, guess what, gang? It is now time to drink. What is everyone drinking? We're going to start with Cailee. Cailee, what do you got there?
All right. I haven't opened this bottle in a while, and since I'm recording from an Airbnb in Louisville right now, I had to just bring a few bottles with me to open for the cork pop. So I brought some Sazerac and rye with me. So we'll see how it goes. It's a not well-loved bottle. I think I've only opened it once, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's good. That's good.
It is.
Jeff from Iowa would say that's a well-loved bottle, but he's not on the show. So he famously tried to say that one time.
It's not a pretty well-loved bottle.
Right. It was like,
Pretty well-loved. Just below the shoulder.
Right. All right, Katie. Looks like Katie's got a new bottle there. What do you got?
I do. I have some Baker's single barrel.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh. Great pop. Lots of slosh.
I need to work on my holding method.
Very poor form
too
there.
tight. I got nervous about spilling it, end up just sloshing all over the place.
We'll say that you still have the lead despite the poor form. You've got the lead. Next up is Beka.
I'm going to be drinking some of our Kentucky brandy from Neely Family Distillery.
Okay. Ooh.
That was good.
I think that's got the lead. There's no slosh there at all. She just schooled Katie.
Yeah.
All right, Jim, you're next.
well, Steve, I was at an event with you today, and we at Stubborn German and picked up my Yellowstone single barrel here at 115 proof. So first open on this one. Let's see how it does.
Oh,
Ooh.
we've had to change your power once again. Well, should I go right at him with the same one or something else? I'm going to do it. I'm going for it. I've got the same thing Jim's got. We were at the same event. My bottle's cooler, though. It's signed by Stephen Fonte, and he did a whole lot of stuff on there. One Colonel from another, and then he signed it Colonel Stephen Fonte. So let's see what we got here. Come on, baby. Be lucky.
Nope.
No, not as good as Jim's. Not as good as
Jim's
Jim's.
is very good.
No, Jim got it. So hold on. Well, there you go. Cheers, gang.
Cheers.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to be talking about Jim Fasnacht's bourbon journey. Hey, maybe it's a good idea he won. It's his show. We'll do that in just a few. Hello, this is Steve Akeley of the ABV Network. Let's talk about the people who make this show happen. First up is Leatherwood Distillery in Pleasant View, Tennessee. Company founder Andy Lang started distilling as a hobby while serving his country as an elite Green Beret. Andy distilled all over the world during his time in the military and brought this passion back to him in the U.S. when he returned home. A visit to Leatherwood combines Andy Lang's unique distilled spirits and a museum of artifacts from his time serving the U.S. Share a drink with a fallen soldier at their bar where you can grab an acrylic bio off the wall that celebrates the individuals who gave the ultimate sacrifice to protect his or her country. They will also ship their distilled spirits directly to you, so check them out at leatherwooddistillery.com. We are also sponsored by Moonshine University. This longtime partner for the ABV Network helps educate individuals looking to get into the distilled spirits business, service industry employees looking to expand their knowledge, and individuals simply wanting to know more about the process and history of the spirits industry. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification at Moonshine University, and it's something I continuously draw upon and connect with fellow graduates. Check out their full listing of classes, including Executive Bourbon Steward certification, production classes, and more at moonshineuniversity.com. Okay, let's talk about Neely Family Distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neely at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent visits to Kentucky. Today, he's leading the way for young distillers making their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neely Family Distillery combines family history, a look at what makes their products unique, and of course a tasting through their whiskeys, moonshines, and creams. Check them out at neelyfamilydistillery.com and visit them in Sparta, Kentucky. All right, back to the show.
This is Freddie Mills, and you're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking to Jimmy Fasnacht about his bourbon journey.
Ah, yes, Jimmy. Jimmy, how did you get started into bourbon, Jimmy?
Well, let's see. How did Jimmy start into bourbon? I haven't been called Jimmy since Mom passed away, so that's been a long time.
Jimmy.
Honestly, my journey is not that long, Steve. You and I just talked about this on a YouTube thing, not long ago. 6 or 7 years is really all my journey has been. For me, I started with Total Wine, and at that point, I was really not a whiskey drinker. I'd had it, over the years, it wasn't my drink of choice. Total Wine does a good job of making you taste and try a lot of things for training and stuff, and so I got to try a lot of different stuff, and became more of a friendship stuff with customers, with you being one of them, Steve, and Paul, who started the Bourbon Group, and then Noah, who worked for me. That's kind of how I got more in depth into it, and working for who I worked for gave me a lot of opportunities because there was nobody in my market who was into bourbon at that time, and so I kind of embraced it and took on the roles. And lucky for me, I became the single barrel captain.
So I became the single barrel captain, and then I was dominating St. Louis bourbon scene, and that gets us to today.
And that's
What happened to you today, Jim?
Now.
Where are you at today?
I sit atop the world of bourbon, and I am the king of all bourbon.
Is Cailee frozen?
He got married by a master
No,
distiller.
I'm not.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's true.
The funny thing is, for the longest time, I thought he was just thinking, and it wasn't until like just a split second ago that I realized he was frozen.
He's frozen. He's frozen on his own show. So this is
Oh,
perfect.
no.
This is
Steve, why don't you and I talk about our journey with Jim?
our journey with Jim. Sure.
There you
sure.
go.
Do you like to go first?
For one thing, I would like to say that 7 years is not a long time when you consider the age range of bourbon drinkers. Like, I mean, I'm 27, and considering I started my bourbon journey at 21, I've only been in it for 5-6 years.
Right.
So like,
Jim's like
it's
70.
like, oh, it's not very long.
He's back.
Yeah.
all
So,
right. I'm going just to my phone. I'm sorry. I was like rambling on there. I had a great rant of
it was beautiful. What you started with was, I finished it off for you. In your voice and everything. Listeners will not know. They won't be able to pick up when we switch from you to me. It's seamless.
Yeah.
So yes, but
having internet problems in the neighborhood apparently. So I'm going to my phone.
Okay. So
What was the
So how
last
do you want
thing
to do
Jim said?
What's that?
What's the last thing we heard Jim say, guys? He was dominating the St. Louis.
Yeah. No, that was not what I
Steve
was
started
saying.
with, but I don't remember what was right before that.
Mine was more memorable
You
than
started
Jim's
with the
actually.
single barrel stuff, I think. That's what you're
Yeah.
starting to do.
Yeah.
Jim.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, now we got two Jims.
Now we have two Jims.
Double
Jim
Jim.
and his twin brother. It's two different shots even. I mean,
Oh yeah, one's my crotch shot.
okay. All right. Excellent.
I'm going to turn the computer off so I don't get doubled up here.
Oh
That's
yeah.
It's great
There.
noise. Okay, there we go. Okay. What else do we want to know from Jim? Cailee, what do you want to know about Jim's journey? Since it's basically the same amount of time as yours.
Me? Yeah. So you say you started at a. Cailee and Katie sound very similar.
Yes.
They really do.
They do. It's really hard to distinguish, especially online. But no, you were starting with the fact that you were a single barrel pick for Total Wine
He was the captain.
So,
picker.
yeah, I was
that you were
they
the
call it
captain.
barrel captain. So I was in charge of the barrel picks for the 3 Missouri stores and our 1 Illinois store.
Okay.
And we were picking 70 plus barrels a year, 80 barrels a year the last few years. So, some of those would be as samples in stores, but the vast majority of, if I was willing to give up my time to do it, I could drive there and do the picks on site. So typically I was spending my days off, going to Kentucky or Indiana or wherever else and doing barrel picks.
I have to say, your days off from what? What do you do normally outside of
I
this?
was at that time I was working for Total Wine, so I was a store manager for Total Wine.
Okay, so you're just
I'm
a store manager taking some time off to do barrel picks.
Yeah, so I
Which
do
should
stuff
have been
in
time
store.
on.
Some of it just kind of depends. So here's the thing with Total Wine, you can't drink while you're on the clock. And so I could go do barrel picks and spit out everything I tasted if I wanted to do it on the clock, or I had my days off. And at that time, my son was off in college. My days off, I wasn't doing a whole lot anyway. So 4-hour drive to Kentucky, spend a couple days there. It was kind of funny because Total Wine had a bunch of rules of how much money these people could spend on you and whatever else. And that was great in the beginning. And after a while, I just didn't care. If the distiller wanted to take Steve and I out and spend $500 on dinner on the two of us, we'd do it, right, Steve?
That's right. We're not going to say no to that.
So
ridiculous.
Yeah. So there was a lot of things that I probably should have been doing. I know I should have been doing that. I was, because I had vendors saying, hey, we'll fly you here, we'll fly you there. And the company like, oh no, we can't spend that kind of money. Although I was doing $1 million in barrel sales a year for them. So, so after a while, I just started saying, yeah, we'll just do it anyway. And I had distributors coming up to me and saying, oh, let's fly to Chicago, Jim, and we won't tell anybody. Or, hey, let's go to this event or that event. And so we ended up doing a lot of stuff. And listen, the distilleries, especially when you get to some of these bigger barrel picks, you don't realize how much money that you're putting in. There's one year I think I picked, 15 or 18 barrels of Knob Creek. We had the most whistle pig picks in the state of just my store. You're talking about barrels that may be going for $20,000 a barrel for some of those higher end barrels. After a while, I stopped feeling bad about them spending $500 on my dinner, because we'd go out and they're giving us Wagyu beef or Alaskan king crab. Some of these meals are just unbelievable that they would take us on. And after a while, you're kind of like, I'm not going to worry about it because I'm making them enough money. They're making me enough money. It's all good.
There you go. Katie, what would you like to know about this journey that Jim's been on?
Well, I have myself a sticky note of questions here now.
Oh, good.
First, for my interrogation, is that in the beginning of your whiskey journey, can you remember a bourbon specifically or a whiskey that really piqued your interest where you were like, oh, I'm going further into this, of like, I'm getting more in this industry, or I'm really going to enjoy barrel picks, etc. Do you have any like memorable moment like that?
So Whistle Pig, in all honesty, was one of the best picks, but probably the most memorable moment as the industry was the first time I went down to Beam to do Knob Creek picks. And we were on the same trip. We're doing Maker's Mark and then Beam, but they gave us the Beam house on the property there. So I actually stayed on property, had the full bar there, everything going there. But I think we were picking out, because we were picking for 3 stores. I think we picked 9 barrels that day. We probably tasted over 25 barrels to get our 9 barrels. And for me, it was seeing how different a barrel can be from one to the other. That's the part of my, the 2 stories I tell people all the time from barrel picks is I did a Buffalo Trace pick where we had 15 people taste out these 6 barrels and rate them, 1 through 6. And 1 barrel tasted dead last for every single person. Rated dead last. That's how different a barrel can be. And that's what I like to point out, how the giant spectrum you can have within these barrels there is how different those things can be. And it's just, that's the part to me that's so much fun. And then just from an industry standpoint, when I knew I loved the industry, was on that Beam pick. If you've been there lately, they had their little barbecue shack, but they didn't used to have a place to go eat. There was tables outside. And we were there on a chilly, fall or winter day, and it was cold out and spit and rain. And there's nowhere to eat inside that place. So you're like standing over the underhang or whatever. We were picking all those barrels. So they invite us into their offices, which is literally the house across the field, basically the yard from where the restaurant is. And we're just kind of eating in the lobby area there. And literally Fred No comes out of his office. He doesn't know us from anybody. And said, hey guys, you have to stand out here. No one's using my conference table. Just come in my office and you can eat at my conference table. Here's literally Fred No. We've never met him before. He has no idea who we are. Didn't know how many barrels we were picking. He didn't ask those questions. He's sitting at his desk working on work, and we're sitting at his conference table having lunch. And what other industry, what other group of people would ever do that? You're not going to be at, Elon Musk isn't saying to people touring there, hey, come have lunch in my office, or,
Right.
it just doesn't exist. And that's when I realized what a friendly industry this is. And I have story after story like that, but that was the first one that just made me realize, holy crap, how down to earth these people are, and what a great industry this is to be in.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Any other questions on the sticky note there?
Yes. And you kind of answered my second one as well. So I feel like my flow of questions here was great. We already went right into it. So
Nice
next
job.
one, for on your bourbon journey, do you have any items like on a bucket list that like this would really just kind of make
That's a good
my
question.
journey? We'll call it bucket list items.
So, well, we came close to doing this before the pandemic, and I'd have gotten in trouble for it. But Whistle Pig has on their property, they have I love to fish and fly fish, and one of our other partners with Scott and I, with Steve and I, is Scott, who's a fly fisherman as well, and they have invited us up there several times to go do barrel picks, and then they were going to take us on a guided fly fishing tour on their property up there at Whistle Pig. So I know it
Ooh.
sounds kind of silly, but as a person who just loves to fish in the outdoors, and I love Whistle Pig products, they do some great stuff, I think. So we've got to spend a day up there in Vermont, just doing barrel picks, and the next day going fishing all day long and coming back and doing some more picks of some other stuff. So hopefully when we get things up and running with our new shop,
With our store, we're going to have no policies where we can't do that kind of stuff. Our policies are we do all that stuff.
So hopefully that
Rule number one, fuck the
Right.
rules.
Rule number one, we do everything. So yes.
I got invited to do barrel picks in Mexico all the time, and the company's like, absolutely not. I could have spent a month in Mexico because Jalisco, the state of Jalisco, would fly me in. They would pay for it, and the distillers would put me up for days at a time and pick out single barrels of tequila and feed me and everything else. And I could have probably spent an
Wow.
entire month there for free if I'd have gotten permission to do it. But they said, hell no.
No.
That would be
Okay.
cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Becca, what do you want to know?
So, Jim, we hear all about your all these bourbon things. What about your wife? How did you meet your wife? Was that through bourbon?
Well, so I didn't meet my wife through bourbon. We worked together for a long, long time in our previous retail career, and then when I left, I brought her along with me. At that time, she was married and I was in a different relationship, and then over time, when she ended up getting divorced, we were constantly going to either bourbon or beer events together. And someone asked if we were dating, and she said, well, no. And they're like, well, it sure seems like it because you guys are at everything together. And so, honestly, through a lot of the bourbon events and stuff is really how we became a couple. One of the first big things I think was the first time I met you, Becca, was when we were at the New Orleans Bourbon Festival the first time.
Yep.
So we started doing all those kinds of things together, and that's when we, really got together. And actually, I'm not sure when this show airs, Steve, but when we are in Key West, the Sunday we're there will be our 1-year anniversary where your husband, Becca, actually did our vows there in Key West. So he has I think we gave you a copy of those vows finally last time we came to see you there with some other pictures from that. So we got married a year ago.
A special thing for sure. That was so cool.
So that was a great time, and Royce put a lot of effort into that. So it means a lot to us. But the thing I'd say about my bourbon adventure is the vast majority of my friends now are from the bourbon industry.
Weird how that happens, right?
And I worked in retail for a long time. I mean, it's 20-something years in retail for Total Wine. And now I'll tell you that most of my friends that I hang out with on a regular basis started with Total Wine and then now have evolved from that. I mean, Steve, that's how you and I met. How you and I became friends was through Total Wine and through a mutual friend of ours, Paul, having his bourbon group that we'd go to. And I think Noah is how you got involved with that. Another friend of ours. So literally, probably 90% of the people that I hang out with or I go do stuff, and the vast majority of our vacations now revolve around bourbon events. If it's a weekend away or like this Key West trip, or we've done the New Orleans trip, I know there's a Maine trip coming up, or it's weekends going out to Neely's and doing events out there. that's what has been to me the best part of it, is the amount of people that I meet that are just truly good people within this industry or just in this, culture.
Right. What are some key moments for you that you're like, wow, this bourbon thing is pretty darn cool?
There's been some key things that have validated things for me. It makes me feel I'm pretty good at what I do. I mean, I think we've built a good reputation for the barrel picks. And again, Steve, you're involved with one of these, but we got to do a pick at Four Roses. And it was one of, Al Young, one of the few picks that he does a year. And he sat down to this pick with us. And it was just a great day. I literally, we're sitting there and we're just asking him all kinds of questions. And he's like, oh, this is so good. The last group I did a barrel pick knew nothing about whiskey. They kept asking me, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite song? What's your favorite movie? And he turns to our friend Paul and he's like, what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite movie? And finally, Paul, just yells out Willy Wonka. And Al Young starts busting out songs from Willy Wonka. And we literally sat there and sang show tunes with Al Young doing a barrel pick for an hour. And I forget her name, who was in charge of barrel picks, finally looks at me. She goes, I've lost.
Andy.
Yeah. And she just left. She left the whole thing. She's gone. She disappeared. And so we sit there, we did all the picks and got to taste some great things. Well, we always do our picks blind. We don't want to know the proof, the age, and whatever else. We all scored ourselves and come up at the end with the thing. And the coolest part about the whole thing is when we had picked our barrels and I'd done my 3 picks, and then at the end, we asked Al if he rated his out, and he flipped them over, and I picked the exact same 3 in the same order that Al Young picked.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was, it was a pretty validating moment for me. And then the other coolest moment of that story is we're leaving. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do next, and we walk out to our car, and Jason Bronner is with us, and all of a sudden Al Young just comes walking out behind us, and he's got this silver pen in his hand, and he goes, my other favorite movie is Men in Black. And he goes, click, this never happened. And just turned around and walked away. Didn't say another word. Just like dropped the mic. So, that was truly one of my most memorable experience. It's funny, Steve. A lot of my most memorable experiences involve you. Like going to Peerless the first time and doing a barrel pick up there, sitting up in that room. Just up there at Limestone with Steve Beam and Steve Fonte smoking a cigar out back doing barrel pick. That's the first barrel pick I've got to do where I'm like smoking a cigar with it as I was doing it. So, and then probably one of the last picks I did for Total Wine is I went out with Trey Zoller, and I was picking for the entire company. They sent me out there, and I did over a 2-day period. I picked 40 barrels, and that's probably the most samples I've ever tasted.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
2-day period. But I got done with the pick, and we had a couple hours. Heidi was driving me, so we were a couple hours early, and Trey's like, Jim, is there anything else here you want to try? And I go, what do you have open, Trey? Like, what do you want to try? He goes, Jim, you just spent $500,000 on 40 barrels. We'll open up whatever the hell you want to open up. Just some great stuff with that. And that rye that he released last year, finishing the cognac barrel, he let me taste that right out of the barrel. Hadn't even been bottled yet, hadn't even been on the market yet. He's like, let's try this one. I think you'll like it. So
that's always the best sample.
Yeah, I just got to experience some great things, and the craft. I just love the craft end of it. The amount of great people I've met in the craft industry, and how I've learned, how I've got to teach other people how good craft can be. That doesn't have to be a 15-year-old whiskey to be spectacular. Some of the best things I've tasted in my life are 5 years or younger that are coming from small craft distilleries that are just using better products going in. So,
all right. Last question: who do you still want to meet that you have not yet? Who's number one on the list that's been elusive? You haven't met this person, but man, you want to.
Don't worry. If it's somebody in this group, you don't have to say them.
It could be Cailee.
Yeah.
You met Katie, you met me, you met Miss Beka Sue. So
that's a good question.
Hopefully it wasn't Betty White.
Oh.
Only because he's kind of elusive. I would like to go do a barrel pick. Like if I could spend some time in the Rick House with Harlan Wheatley just 'cause he's so elusive. He doesn't do anything publicly.
He is
with all
elusive. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I've got to meet, so many other, most of the big guys I've met through, whether it's Total Wine or you, Steve, or whatever else. And I get to meet a lot of craft people, but he's someone who's he's very elusive, and it'd be kind of interesting just to see how he is on a one-on-one basis, just to see if just to see his knowledge and what he talks about. Maybe he's just not a big public person, but he might be great in private. I don't know. Yeah,
I think he would be. Again, I don't know. I have met him one time, but never talked whiskey with him or anything like that. Just shook his hand.
I've said hi to him. I've been at events and said hi, whatever. But I would mean like a one-on-one. Let's go do a barrel tasting with just him and I and taste through some. That would be kind of an interesting thing to see, just because he doesn't do that. So,
the answer you should have had though, Katie, we could give you a hint. Katie, what you're drinking tonight? I think that's the guy you want to meet. Baker Beam. Yeah,
The last thing I took a sip of was my Coke Zero.
Oh,
and I was like,
not that.
huh?
Baker Beam is definitely on the bucket list. I'd like to go. He's got a little museum at his house. I want to go take a tour of that. That's like on the bucket list.
Considering that's my last name, like I definitely want to meet him at some point.
Yeah,
that was actually we had an empty bottle of Baker's on our table for our wedding. That was like our table decoration was the Baker's bottle.
Oh, that's cute.
He doesn't do a whole lot of stuff, but sometimes he does, like around his birthday and that, appear at the distillery. I would like to go. I have met him as well, but same thing. And I'd love to get him on a show or something like that. So I'm hoping. You never know. You think that stuff's not going to happen, then maybe one day.
Can I talk to him for you, Steve?
What's that?
Do you want me to talk to him for you?
Yeah, you can talk to him. Yeah. Put in a good word for me, Beka. Absolutely. Yeah. I'd appreciate that. That'd be a good thing.
Hey.
All right, we'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Cailee, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
Well, come out and see me at Leatherwood Distillery most Fridays and Saturday nights. And you can also find me on Instagram at Cailee Baker or at the Bourbon Bakers, serving up delicious baked goods.
Katie, how about you?
With the way she slowed down with the baked goods there, I'm questioning a little bit of what's the ingredients in these items, but
what's the type of
secret ingredient
baked goods for you. Anyway, you can find me over on Instagram at Katie Proof.
All right, Jim.
You can find me on Facebook at Jim Fasnacht or on Instagram at FazJim, FAZZJIM.
All right, Miss Beka Sue.
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Miss Beka Sue, 1K, no C's.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got that company website. That thing's abvnetwork.com. Check it out because everything that we do is out there. Previous shows, blogs, so much more, abvnetwork.com. Miss Beka Sue, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd just like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. If you like what we're doing, we ask you to please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
All right. Great job today, gang. For audience, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Another friend of ours is the Goldstein family at Goldstone Mill. The Goldsteins offer a variety of heritage and heirloom grains to make the finest whiskeys in the world. Plus, they are more than just a grain company. They are truly consultants to make sure the grains they are providing to you or your business meet your highest expectations. Additionally, they work with mills around the country ensuring shipping is as low as possible for their customers. If you're a distillery, brewery, or even doing this at home, Goldstone can assist you. Check them out at goldstonemill.com, call them at 217-254-6613, or check in via email at hello@goldstonemill.com. Last but not least, at the top of the show, I mentioned investment opportunities at the new liquor store concept, the ABV Barrel Shop, being launched in 2022 by myself, Jim Fasnacht, and Scott Creighton. We are crowdfunding some of the capital needed to open the store. Not only does it offer a return on your investment, but a lifetime of status and benefits at the store. Of course, this investment is a loan and involves a high degree of risk, which may not be suitable for all persons. Prospective investors should carefully evaluate the risk and merits of an investment, should confer with their own legal and financial advisors, and should be able to bear the risk of the loss of their investment before considering the investment described herein. If you would like more information, contact us via the under construction website at abvbarrelshop.com and fill out the form.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.